Police arrest Lawrence County Treasurer Gary Felasco on charges of theft.
Also on the county line, a 2,000-year-old face comes out of the wrapper.
And we take a trip down Easter Bunny Lane and also visit a local egg tradition.
The Columbia Theater prepares to reopen, and the county line has the details right from Sharon.
And I'll show you what motivates the firefighters at the East Mercer Volunteer Fire Department.
County Commissioner Dan Vogler visits us for the County Close-Up.
And of course, DJ Yoakley has all of your Titantown sports. We're live.
We're local.
The County Line starts now. Lawrence County Treasurer Gary Felasco will head to court at the beginning of May. Good evening and welcome to the County Line. I'm Mike Walensky.
And I'm Elizabeth Farry. Police arrested Felasco on charges for a crime committed in October of 2002. Felasco apparently stole over $6,000 from the National Association of the Wolves while he was treasurer for the organization. He's charged with 1 count of theft by unlawful taking of disposition and 1 count of theft by failure to make required disposition of funds received. Felasco is out of jail on $5,000 bail. Last year, Felasco pled not guilty to charges of theft and embezzlement from the Lawrence County's Treasury. We'll have more details on this story in tonight's County Close-Up.
In Mercer County, Bill Finley makes a living at the Mercer Department of Public Safety as a Region 13 planner. That's a counterterrorism task force. When he's not planning for terrorist attacks, he keeps busy at the East Mercer Volunteer Fire Department. I caught up with Bill to find out why he dedicates so much of his time to such a position. Bill Finley spends the rest of his day at the fire station. That's what you do when you're chief of the East Mercer Volunteer Fire Department. Every firefighter has their own reason for dedicating their time to the department, but for Bill, it's a Finley family tradition.
My grandfather was a firefighter for years, and my father, he became a firefighter once he was old enough, and it just kind of been passed down through the generations.
Even Bill's brother is now a volunteer firefighter. Bill says he does it because he enjoys helping people.
Well, that's the most rewarding part. Since we're volunteering and don't get paid anything, it's all about helping the people.
As a firefighter, Bill has medical training, so he's a qualified EMT. He also makes sure he stays up to date on the latest equipment and training.
I enjoy learning new things, the technologies, techniques that, come out nowadays.
This old-fashioned search rope that uses a series of knots to help firefighters find their way out of a building was recently replaced by an easier-to-use lighted version.
If you go towards the green light from the 2 red ones, that's the way out.
But even new technology isn't always perfect.
Now, the only disadvantage to this particular one, the further you go in, it doesn't change. So you still have...
So you don't know how far...
Correct. You don't know how far you're in.
Even with its disadvantages, this equipment is expensive. This lighted search rope carries a price tag of over $1,000. But it's designed to save lives.
There's no price you can put on anybody's life, especially a firefighter's life. So, in my opinion, if it's a tool that's going to save one firefighter, I think we should have it.
Sure.
With so many things happening at the scene of a fire, other tools such as this automated defibrillator help to make firefighters more efficient.
Not that firemen aren't smart. Firemen are extremely smart, but the easier you can make stuff to use, the better it is.
While firefighting technology has changed since the time when Bill's grandfather worked in the department, the basic job is still the same.
Believe it or not, we're, it's community service, what we're doing, so it's customer service.
And with all the training and equipment, operating a fire department gets expensive. Bill tells me the station's funding comes from both tax dollars and donations. To get the donations, the East Mercer Volunteer Fire Department holds several fundraisers every year. Their biggest fundraiser is a pledge drive conducted through the mail. They also host a night of bingo every week.
Westminster unwrapped a 2,300-year-old secret this week. The face of our college's mummy Pesed was finally displayed for the public. As the County Line's Catherine Larson tells us, putting a mummy back together really proves the old cliche. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Pesed the mummy didn't mind the public spotlight. She basked in her new celebrity, flashing her $10,000 facelift. After all, this is what any ancient palace singer and dancer would want.
They want to come back
whole and well and feeling good. And that, a lot of feeling good is how you look.
Intense. So then why would they show Pessid, warts and all?
My impression is just, well, I'm looking at an 85-year-old woman over at the Shenango home. This is her walking around. The dowager's hump, the osteoporosis, and so forth. Knees, right here.
But for an old granny, she's faring pretty well, even sporting a new hairdo.
If you take a look at these ancient hairstyles, they can often have incredible complexity. Now, we felt that she was not a showy person. She would have had a quiet dignity.
Quiet dignity or not, for being 2,300 years old, you'd think her beauty secret must be Botox.
There's no Neutrogena. You know, there are salves and balms, and Egypt is a great culture for that type of thing. They were probably looking as well as anybody might in the ancient world.
In Lawrence County, I'm Catherine Larson for the County Line.
That's without the scan.
The Columbia Theater in downtown Sharon closed over 20 years ago, but it's finally ready to open its doors once again. The County Line's Chris Norris tells us about the theater's rich past and exciting future.
The Columbia Theater in downtown Sharon was once considered the nicest theater between Pittsburgh and Erie until a fire in 1981 closed its doors.
In 1981, a film lab out in front of the park, where the park exists now, in front of the theater, caught on fire. And it resulted in flames coming up the front of the face of the building. Fire department tried putting it out, and this was in the winter, and it froze, and with 1 million gallons of water on the roof of the theater, the ceiling collapsed.
The theater was recently purchased by the Vocal Group Hall of Fame. President and CEO of the Vocal Group Hall of Fame, Bob Crosby, tells of the theater's rich history.
It was built in 1922. Warner Brothers, Columbia Theaters, several organizations changed hands over the years. I've heard stories of the Three Stooges being here, lots of old movies that had performed here. One of the most precious things about this theater, if we were to bulldoze this over and then rebuild it, you're probably talking more like $50 million.
Once the theater is completely renovated and ready to be reopened, it will host an array of performances and events.
Our guess is it's probably a concert a month as we get going until it starts filling up. There'll be commercial and corporate interests here in town that have conventions and need a large meeting space. And we're going to try and go back to showing movies.
Reporting for the County Line, I'm Chris Norris.
Now, Chris Norris has plans to show us the future home of the Vocal Group Hall of Fame on a future County Line. He'll also have the details on plans to bring more entertainment to downtown Sharon.
Well, Easter is just around the corner, and kids are eagerly awaiting the arrival of the Easter Bunny, and their parents are preparing by purchasing candy and Easter eggs. The County Line's Amanda Hogger visited Billy's Black and Gold store in Sharon, where one local woman has a unique way to keep the Easter tradition alive all year round.
Here at Billy's Black and Gold in Sharon, Pennsylvania, we met up with a local artist who has been practicing a traditional art form that's over 2,000 years old.
My name's Carol Novosel, and I live in Sharon, Pennsylvania. I've been working on eggs since I was 6 years old, and I'm almost 50 now, so that's a lot of years. And it's a traditional art using wax and dye. It's a batik process. Ukrainian egg decorating is a folk art. It's over 2,000 years old, and it's usually passed down in the family. It's a family tradition. So I learned from my baba, my grandmother, and my mom. And my grandmother came to this country in 1906. She was 16 years old, came with 2 cousins on a boat through the port of Baltimore. The only word she knew in English and had learned in her village was South Side Pittsburgh. So she knew that if she got to the south side of Pittsburgh, people from her village would already be working and living there, and she arrived. My grandfather was a few years older and said, "When I can, I'll be in America too. I'll find you." She said, "That's wonderful, but I'm 16. If he loves me, he'll find me. If he doesn't, well, you know, it'll be a new life." And my grandfather went to the south side of Pittsburgh, and walked into the little Ukrainian church on Sunday morning, and there was my grandmother.
Carol decorates over 600 eggs a year and says it's an important part of maintaining her heritage.
Painting the eggs is very important to me because it connects me to my roots and other people who might only remember that their family made pierogi or stuffed cabbage and that they celebrated Christmas on January 7th. Well, this is a link to their family.
Not everything is black and gold at Billy's, thanks to the artistic talents of Carol Novosel. Her Ukrainian family tradition is carried on by the colorful eggs she crafts. Reporting from Sharon, I'm Amanda Hogger for the County Line.
This Sunday, April 9th, Billy's Black and Gold will host Ukrainian egg decorator Carol Novosel's annual event.
It's the 18th year for the event, which features ethnic food, dancing, and egg decorating. The event is free and open to the public. Now, Liz, I've tried to make those eggs before at a church camp, and it's tough. It takes a lot of patience and skill.
Yeah, those were some pretty unique eggs. They weren't just
Lily's
a little
great.
vinegar and dye. They were pretty impressive.
No, it takes it to a whole new level there.
They were impressive. Now, another seasonal attraction is opening its doors. The County Line's Jolene Slattery takes us along as she hops down the bunny trail at Kreynaks' annual Easter display.
Spring is in the air and Easter is just a bunny hop away. I'm here in Hermitage at Kreynaks, where Easter Bunny Lane is the hoppin' place to be. Kreynaks employees start early and work hard each year to make Easter Bunny Lane a unique experience.
The Easter Bunny Lane is put together by a lot of the employees here. A lot of the backgrounds you're going to see and the moving objects are made by them. Some of our animation is also made by them. Well, for example, the rabbit we're standing in front of right now, he's been with us for about, I'd say 15 to 20 years, and you will see him popping up in different locations, and we may change his, put a hat on him, we may change what he's holding, but that way we reuse the animation from year to year.
There's quite the varied crowd at Easter Bunny Lane, from little chicks to big chicks to the old rooster. Each Kreynaks employee has a favorite spot on Easter Bunny Lane.
The religious section at the very end.
The theme of each display varies from Easter to Down on the Farm to a patriotic display with a baseball game in progress. As the name implies, Easter Bunny Lane is filled with bunnies, bunnies, more bunnies, and also some familiar characters like Pooh and his friends.
But we're seeing Easter growing every year. Once people realized we did have 2 displays a year, they see us at Christmas time, then they see us again in the spring.
No, it's probably been 10 years since I've been here, 10, 15 years. Brought my friend's little girl.
Whether a hatchling or veteran basket deliverer, an afternoon at Easter Bunny Lane is enjoyable for everyone. From Hermitage, I'm Jolene Slattery for the County Line.
Now, earlier in the show, we told you about Lawrence County Treasurer Gary Felasco's legal troubles.
Now we're going to turn to Lawrence County Commissioner Dan Vogler and Stevie Nelson to learn more about this case in tonight's County Close-Up.
Good evening and welcome to County Close-Up. Here with us tonight is Commissioner, Mr. Dan Vogler. Hi, Mr. Vogler. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
There are a few things I'd like to talk with you about. First, the embattled Treasurer Gary Felasco. Not only is he accused of stealing taxpayers' money, but this week a new arrest warrant was issued charging him with stealing money from a fraternal organization. What is the status of the county still giving him a paycheck?
Well, we made every effort to try not to have to do that. We went to court, presented an argument to court stating that in light of the fact that he had been charged with theft and embezzlement relative to county funds, that we felt that that warranted his not receiving a paycheck. Unfortunately, the judge that heard the case felt otherwise, and the ruling said that Mr. Felasco is an elected official. There are only 2 ways in which he can be removed. One is by conviction of a crime, not necessarily just the charging of a crime, but the actual conviction. And the other would be through the impeachment process in the Pennsylvania legislature, which from all indications is not going to happen. So we're now anxiously awaiting the trial that is scheduled to start the first week of May. That'll take place in Venango County. It'll be a jury trial based upon the charges that have been filed against him. If he is convicted, It's my understanding then that he will be removed as treasurer.
Okay. And who's handling the county treasurer duties now, and how are you making sure things are running correctly?
Well, he is still the elected treasurer. And what needs to be made clear is that elected row officers, such as the treasurer, the sheriff, the district attorney, the controller, etc., they are independent from the county commissioners. We are not the boss of elected row officers. They report to the people, we report to the people. And accordingly, the employees of those row offices are in fact the employees of the elected official in that office. So consequently, we're not able to either hire, fire, or suspend any elected officials' employees. Now, we have the ability to do that in our various departments, in the departments in county government that report to us. But this is a separate, independent office from the county commissioners. He does have a staff, and they are there every day. He necessarily isn't there every day, unfortunately. But the staff that's there is, in fact, running that office.
Sounds difficult to remove an elected official from office.
In the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, it is. I mean, we have to adhere to what the law says. In certain states, you have the ability to recall. I mean, we saw that in the state of California with a governor who was, in fact, recalled. We don't have that provision in Pennsylvania law, and that's what we have to adhere to. County government is governed by what's called the fifth-class county code, and that's a compilation of all the laws that the legislature has passed, and those are the rules we have to follow. And as much as we'd like to be able to get rid of this person, the law says we can't do it. The law says, once again, he either has to be convicted of a crime or impeached and removed by the state legislature.
Right. And now we're gearing up for the municipal primaries in May, and Lawrence County residents will be using the new touchscreen voting systems for the first time. How do you think that this will affect voting this year?
Well, I'm anxious to see it proceed. The federal law, once again, we have to answer not only to Harrisburg, but to Washington, D.C. as well. And federal law a couple years ago said that we have to now go with new systems. We chose a system that's a touchscreen system. We will implement that system on May 16th. It's very comparable to using an ATM machine or ordering a sandwich at a fast food restaurant where you use the touchscreen. We are asking voters to allow a little more time when they go to vote because it is a new system. We are particularly asking voters that maybe either have the day off on election day or if they're retired, maybe to try to go vote mid-morning or mid-afternoon because there's less likelihood that there will be a line. But we're anxious to see it happen. We think it'll be a good process.
Now, everyone has to switch over to these new systems, and there's some controversy in Allegheny County because they're receiving used systems. What's the status of our system? Are they new? Are they used? And does that really make a difference?
My understanding is that we're going to be getting a combination of new and used. Obviously, the machines all have to be tested, and we'll make certain of that prior to them going out on Election Day for the voters to use. We're certainly going to monitor that very, very closely. Again, what we're getting in Lawrence County will be comparable to what the folks in Mercer County will be getting, as well as Butler and Beaver. We're all essentially going with the same type of system.
Great. Well, thank you, Mr. Vogler, for being with us tonight. We hope to have you back again soon.
I appreciate your having me.
Stay tuned. More County Line is on the way.
Traverse. Check us out on the web.
Properly inflating my tires burns less fuel and saves me money on gas. Yeah, I'm saving Mother Nature from pollution, but more importantly, she saved me $11. Ow!
Environmental defense. Get green. Go to getgreen.com.
There's a better way to have fun with history. Visit americaslibrary.gov. Log on, play around, learn something.
Picture yourself at Westminster College. Westminster offers an educational experience that is second to none. We've been exceeding students' expectations for 150 years. Westminster combines the prestige of a national liberal arts college with the personal attention you deserve. Westminster is a national leader in graduation rate performance and is the most affordable national liberal arts college in Pennsylvania. Visit Westminster's beautiful 300-acre campus to experience an ideal learning environment. Succeed at Westminster College.
Hi, and welcome to Titantown Sports. I'm DJ Yoakley, and as always, there's been a lot of action around the area, but this time not only at the college level, but in high school as well. Leading off for us tonight is the varsity baseball team who went into last weekend's much-anticipated W&J series with high hopes of controlling the series, and it started off according to plan with Brenton Gilmore throwing a complete game, 4-hitter, walking 2 and striking out 5 on his route to his first win of the year with the final score of 2-1. In Game 2, W&J jumped out to a 7-1 advantage before the Titan Bats woke up. The Dirt Dogs tied up the game at 7, courtesy of Ed DeRose and Donnie Kirkwood. Kirkwood went 3 for 5 with 2 doubles, 2 runs scored, and an RBI. DeRose contributed his talents with a 2 RBI campaign. However, it wasn't enough for the win that the Presidents scored in the bottom half of the 8th and a single to left field, putting this one away 8-7. And the third game wasn't even a contest, as the Presidents vetoed any chance of a Titan victory by bashing up the Titan Hurlers for 19 runs. Freshman Gary DiBaldo started the game, giving up 5 hits on 2 2/3 innings. Jason Mackey, the senior, came in and didn't have much luck on this day, as he suffers the loss and drops to 0-2 on the year. The Titans will return to action tomorrow afternoon with a backyard rivalry against Teal. First pitch is slated for 4 p.m. With 22 winning seasons in the past 24 years, it'd be safe to say that the Titan softball players aren't accustomed to losing very much. However, this past week hasn't been very kind to the Queens of the Diamond. The team is 1-3 in their past 4 games, and things aren't looking any easier with pack foes Bethany, Grove City, and next year's packed newborn St. Vincent on the way. A couple of bright spots for the Lady Titans, however, are Jen Pancake with her 1.40 ERA and offensive production with her 2 long balls and 13 RBIs, all team leading. Let's not forget about senior Abby Mazar and her .313 batting average, along with her plate of 9 ribbies on the side. Well, if you've been wondering where Justin Egley has been, he's the Newcastle News' latest videographer, and tonight he brings up his first of many Newcastle News Athletes of the Week.
Hi, my name is Josh Jones. I'm a senior at Newcastle High School. I do the high jump, 110-meter hurdles, the long jump, and the 4x4 relay. I've been involved with track. My first year was actually in 10th grade, and the coaches just seen something really great in me, so they had me come out, and I just stuck with it, just keep getting better.
Everyone gets along with Josh. He's such a, just a low-key person. He's very likable and easy to coach. So, everyone feeds on his attitudes and his demeanor. So he's as a winning athlete, and it does carry on to the other players.
Okay, my name's Walt Mangum, and my record in high jump was 6'9 3/4 back in 1955, I think it was. And Josh Jones just broke the record 6'10". I just met him this morning. Heck of a nice kid. I wish him the best in the future, and I hope he'll go on to do better things.
Walter Magnum set that record so high back in 1956, and to break that is the most wonderful thing ever. To break it from a guy like that. Record. I've been after it for 3 years. My first drive around was in 10th grade, hit 6'6", and I've been trying to chase that record ever since. And last Tuesday, I finally got the chance on a good day. Bar went up to 6'10". My coach knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. Everybody in the building knew it was coming, and I finally did it. Everybody went crazy. The most amazing feeling ever.
And a big thank you to Justin and the Newcastle News for that inspirational story. Another source of inspiration, however, is having the chance to start at 2 positions on your team as a freshman. Leanne and Amy have more with this week's Hot Titan, John Izzo.
Well, it was a little too cold for practice outside today, but it doesn't make it any less hot in here for our Hot Titan of the Week interview.
This week we're going to interview pitcher and right fielder. He's a freshman, John Izzo, and we're going to learn a little bit about him on the field and off the field.
I was a little more interested in his off-the-field activities, but we'll see.
All right, so you're a freshman. So what's it like to start pitching and playing right field as a freshman, knowing you have 3 more years to go after this?
It's just, I was overwhelmed, like, when he first told me. Like I said before, like, I knew I was going to get some playing time, but, like, starting every day, it's, like, I had no idea.
All right, I don't know if you know this, actually, but when I played softball when I was about, I'd say, 9, I actually played for a long while and felt very privileged. The coach made a special position for me, and I was actually in the right field, so we have something in common. Now, I was recently told that sometimes players are put in the right field because they're not so good. Is that true?
I hope not. I came here as a pitcher / first baseman, and when he just asked me to play right field, I really could care less where I played as long as I got to play.
So I want to know a little bit about what you do outside of baseball. Do you have a girlfriend?
No, not at the moment. I ain't got a girlfriend. Just having some fun playing the field, you know.
All right, so the Major League season just started. Any teams you're particularly rooting for in the regular season and the playoffs?
I'm a Braves fan. I gotta love Bobby Cox. That's my man. Individually, I expect a lot from myself just because I always have. And as far as the team, we have a great group of guys. If we go anything less than winning the pack, I'd be pretty upset.
Well, Leanne and I probably aren't ready for the major leagues anytime soon.
But hopefully these guys are on their way to another pack championship.
Thanks to John Izzo for being the Hot Titan of the Week.
I'm Leanne.
And I'm Amy for Titantown Sports.
Thanks, ladies, and thanks, John, for helping Amy brush up on her skills. That does it this week for Titantown Sports. Thanks for dropping by. More County Line is on deck.
Honey, would you get me some ice cream?
Ice cream?
Please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Some things you just can't do without. It happens every night, all across America.
So nice out here.
Yeah, I used to come out here when I was a kid. Nothing. Relax.
No, I definitely heard something.
Look! Who is that?
What are you doing? Start the car!
Okay.
He's got an axe!
He does?
Please!
I tried! Come on, baby! Come on!
Is that the window?
Think history is a little scary? Then log on to loc.gov and see how much fun it can be. The Library of Congress at loc.gov.
More and more kids are getting it together. Programs are working to keep kids away from crime, but they need your support. Call 1-800-WE-PREVENT and help McGruff take a bite out of crime.
That's it for this week's County Line. Excuse me, Mike.
All you, Liz.
But we will actually not be back next week because we are off for spring break, or Easter break. Easter break, that's right.
All right, but we do have a lot of packages planned up for next week. And DJ, I'm sure you have big stuff planned for sports.
Oh, absolutely. We'll have all your Titan action and, of course, all the action from around the valley.
Okay.
That's right. That sounds great. Mike and I are actually going to head to the Science Olympiad held for the last time here at Westminster tomorrow.
It's been an 18-year tradition, but this is the last year for it, so we're going to check it out, find out what's all about. Also, Ada Miwa heads to a local cake baker to gets a sugar high there, finds out how to make a cake.
That's right. And the County Line's Luke Garrett will show us a local artisan who uses chainsaws to create his masterpieces. Looks very, very interesting. So make sure that you tune in 2 weeks to the County Line.
All right, have a good night.
Good night.
Sago mine disaster. Seek